Content warning. This video discusses homophobia, transphobia, AIDS, fascism, and Andrew Lloyd Webber's cats. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings, my good bitches. The name's Francis. Coke Francis. I'm an editor, Twitch streamer, drag artist, and I'm here because sometimes I just want to be a little cheeky lad on the internet, and some people get very upset when I do that. If you've seen pretty much any of my past videos, you'll know that I love art and hate censorship. Both those topics are in the news right now, since American actor and playwright Harvey Fierstein shared a post recently claiming that he has been banned from the National Theater, the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. This claim has sparked outrage, as well as a lot of drawn-out, tedious discussions about whether or not Firestein was actually, technically banned from the Kennedy Center by its newly self-appointed chairman, Donald Grump. That's his name, right? You probably have some questions like, what the hell are you talking about? I get that a lot. Who is this Firestein character you speak of? What is the Kennedy Center, and why is the sitting president currently the chair of it? Did he really ban Harvey Fierstein, and why would he do that? Who are you? Who am I? What do words mean? Why did Nick DeRamio disappear for 5 months? Well, don't you worry your sexy little heads, because all will soon be revealed. Today we're going to talk about two very different men who have very different ideas of what theater should be, and what this all means for the future of queer art in the United States of But before we get into it, I can't think of a better video than this one to announce my new partnership with Pinace. Pinace is a queer and trans-owned small business that specializes in high-quality pride pins, especially their customizable pride pins and pin sets. I haven't seen this done anywhere else before, and I am absolutely in love with these pin sets that they were kind enough to send to me. There are 36 identities and pronouns to choose from that could be matched into a 2 or 3-piece circle. I got the 3-piece circle, which includes the bisexual flag, the non-binary flag, and the new gay flag. I showed these to my partner, and his exact words were, "That's actually cool as f***. Homies got away with words." As you know, suicide is a particularly impactful issue amongst queer and trans folks, especially with young people, which is why Pinace also offers these 2-piece semicolon sets that are inspired by the semicolon project, a symbol for suicide prevention, signifying that one story is not yet over. So, as someone who has also ideated and survived in the past, I got a 2-piece semicolon set to represent both my identities and the fact that I'm still here and I ain't going anywhere. These pins are super high quality and smooth to the touch, and they're made in a BSCI facility that's certified for human rights adherence and social compliance. I also love how each pin piece has 2 backs on them, so these bad boys are secure and will stay on in even the wildest of mosh pits. And in addition to their pride sets, they also have collections for body positivity, social justice, even some D&D themed pieces, and more. So if you'd like to make anything from a huge pin collection to a virgin jacket a bit more fabulous, you can get 15% off by using my special link pinace.com/QueenCokeFrancis. That is pin-ace.com/QueenCokeFrancis. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Let's start off with Miss Firestein. So first off, this is not going to be a comprehensive biography or a thorough analysis of Harvey Fierstein's work, so consider this more of just an introduction. If you want more details, I highly recommend you check out his memoir, I Was Better Last Night. It's really good, it's super witty, and it warmed the cockles of my heart in ways that I did not expect. And of course, check out his plays and musicals because they slap. Some of you might not know who Harvey Fierstein is or why his work matters. Most folks probably know him as a character actor in movies and TV. He was in Independence Day, Mrs. Doubtfire, he was on Cheers, and he's done a lot of voice acting work, from Yao and Mulan to a personal favorite of mine, Jerome in Big Mouth. Firestein is an actor whose voice is arguably more famous than the man himself.
I am here saving the day, damn it. Yes. Oh my god. Ancestors.
Gravelly yet mellifluous, with a thick juicy Brooklyn accent. Harvey's unique voice is actually the result of overdeveloped false chords, and not, as many have assumed, from smoking cigarettes, which meant that all of my efforts to deepen my voice by smoking 3 packs a day may have all been for naught. You'd think a voice like that might keep you away from Broadway musicals, but you would be wrong. Harvey originated the role of Edna Turnblad in Hairspray, which won him a Tony Award for Outstanding Actor in a Musical. Of course, this was not Harvey's first time on Broadway. It wasn't his first Tony win, and it certainly wasn't his first time in drag. Firestein has been a significant figure in American theater for 50 years, whose reputation as a playwright equals, if not exceeds, his acting career. Notable works include Torch Song Trilogy, La Cage aux Folles, Safe Sex, and Kinky Boots. All of those shows feature predominantly LGBTQ characters, and 3 of them prominently feature drag queens. I wonder why the Trump administration would have a problem with that. Did I mention Harvey Fierstein is gay? I don't think I explicitly said it out loud, but did I really have to? You saw the clips, you heard him talk. I know you shouldn't assume someone's sexuality without them telling you, but come on.
All day long I'd be if I were a wealthy man.
No straight person is that funny or that talented. It's a joke. I love straight people. You gave us Mel Brooks. Please don't come after me. The truth is, Firestein was never in the closet. Ever since his childhood, he knew he was gay. He was always effeminate. He always loved dressing in drag. And by the time he was in high school in the 1960s, he was radically open about his identity. A Brooklyn native and a lifelong theater kid, Firestein's first big break came at age 19 when he joined an off-Broadway theatrical ensemble called the Playhouse of the Ridiculous. The work they produced was avant-garde, campy, very queer, often shocking, and full of blistering political commentary. Firestein's first role with the company was in drag. He played Jesus Christ, but resurrected in the form of a bag lady who screams at the audience while carrying her own severed genitals in a jar full of formaldehyde. Basically, a show that could kill the Hays Code nerds on Twitter the way this spoonful of Takis dust could kill a Victorian child. Imagine how audiences must have felt seeing this in 1971. Harvey worked with the Playhouse for the next decade. He wrote and acted in plays that explored gender and sexuality in a very over-the-top, in-your-face kind of way. One of those plays was called Cannibals Just Don't Know No Better, and it's about gay parents who kill and eat their straight children. Now that's what I call praxis. Then came the big one, or in this case, 3. From 1978 to 1980, Harvey wrote and starred in 3 plays that became his magnum opus, Torch Song Trilogy. Unlike his earlier work with the Playhouse, the trilogy isn't a broad, freaky burlesque show, but it's no less queer and no less radical. It's a 3-part coming-of-age story that's centered on a gay, effeminate drag queen named Arnold. He finds love, loses it, argues with his mom, has an adopted son. Ultimately, it's a play about navigating grief and finding your family in a very grounded and realistic way. The queerness is undeniable, but what makes this work radical isn't cannibalism or genitals in jars. What made it so groundbreaking was that it depicted the lives of queer people so normally. Spoiler alert, Arnold lives at the end and never goes back in the closet. He isn't punished for being gay or for wanting a family on his own terms. His desires are not only vindicated, they're celebrated. This was very unusual for its time. Even though the American Psychiatric Association had removed homosexuality from the DSM in 1973, by the 1980s, the majority of Americans still saw homosexuality as something deviant or other. Being gay was considered pitiful at best and amoral at worst. This pervasive attitude found its way into the plays that Harvey grew up reading as a budding young artist. He even found it in plays that came from a gay perspective, like The Boys in the Band by Mark Crowley or Suddenly Last Summer by Tennessee Williams. And don't get me wrong, these are still great plays that center on gay characters and express true, valid experiences. But they still depict gay life as something tragic and self self-loathing and lonely. Even the Rocky Horror Picture Show, one of the most joyful works of queer theater in history, still ends with Frankenfurter's death. Harvey knew that being gay didn't mean having to die alone or be shot with an antimatter laser. Throughout the 60s and 70s, he spent a lot of time in Manhattan's West Village, where queer people practiced free love and had a lot of fun. This, of course, changed when the AIDS crisis came about, but we will get to that in a minute. Harvey also met monogamous gay and lesbian couples who had settled down and been together for decades. And this was significant because it showed Harvey that family life isn't just for heterosexuals. Why shouldn't queer people enjoy the same rights and privileges as straight people? Why should they be denied that choice? Why shouldn't they openly, loudly fight for their rights? Why should Harvey wallow in despair because the straight majority told him to? Despair was never an option for Harvey Fierstein. He knew that joy was an act of resistance. Torch Song Trilogy was an off-Broadway smash, and after several performances and some minor tweaks, it finally opened on Broadway at the Little Theater in 1982. It won the Tony Award for Best Play, and Firestein won Best Actor in a Play. Fun fact, Firestein's producer, John Glines, was the first person to thank a same-sex partner in an acceptance speech at a major award show. Later in 1983, when La Cage aux Folles won the Tony for Best Musical, Firestein was advised to not repeat Glines' mistake. He ignored this request and thanked his lover Scott in his acceptance speech. It's so weird to think that there was a time when the goddamn Tony Awards were worried about looking too gay-friendly. La Cage aux Folles is a musical based on a French play that eventually got turned into The Birdcage, which is one of the greatest movies of all time. But before Nathan Lane and Robin Williams had a crack at it, Firestein was hired to adapt the French play into a Broadway musical, and like Torch Song, it was a critical and commercial success. It also gave us one of the greatest gay anthems of all time, I Am What I Am. Music and lyrics were by the show's composer Jerry Herman, but Firestein's words were the inspiration for the song. It's been widely recorded, Firestein himself has performed it, and at the 2016 Trailblazer Honors, the cast of All-Star Season 2 surprised Harvey with their own rendition of it. Some have said that Harvey Fierstein is the first openly gay actor-playwright on Broadway. I have a hard time believing that's true, but him being so open while being famous was a big deal back then. It was so mind-blowing to mainstream straight Americans that Firestein had to go on TV and explain the most basic facts about being gay to Barbara Walters.
La Cage aux Folles says that, look, you can have a homosexual couple who love each other, who can live together for years and years, who can have commitment, who can have all the things that we have come to think of as only heterosexual property.
Right. Well, those are not heterosexual experiences, and those are not heterosexual words. Those are human words. Love, commitment, family, belong to all people.
Is it rare to have these kinds of long relationships?
No. No, it's the norm. It is the norm in the homosexual community. It is not the norm in what you see on the news. What you see on the news and what you see in print are the bars. I mean, the obvious things that you can shoot. You don't break into people's homes and shoot this happy lesbian couple that's been, you know, the two of them have been living together for 70 years.
What's
Sure.
it like to be a homosexual?
I beg your pardon?
The way I would have flipped tables after the first couple of questions, and this man answers them with the patience of my therapist.
You do ask the easy ones, don't you? What is it like? What's it like being a heterosexual? I don't know. I'm just a person. I'm a person who sees the world in the opposite light than you do. That's all. But I see the exact same world as you do. I assume that everyone is gay unless I'm told otherwise. You assume everyone's straight unless you're told otherwise. I see a beautiful woman on the street. I appreciate her as a beautiful woman, but not as a sex object.
Do you feel jealous of her?
Why would I feel jealous of her?
Because she might be after the same man, or he may
No,
be more attractive.
I'm not attracted to heterosexual men.
Harvey remained committed to depicting queer joy in his work, even when he had every excuse to be bitter and hopeless. In the 1980s, he saw many of his friends die from AIDS. He even buried the ashes of 3 of his friends in his yard. Our government and healthcare system actively harmed those with the disease. In Harvey's view, the heterosexual community at large had turned its back and let all these queer people die. For those of us who didn't live during the AIDS crisis, we've heard how awful it was, we've heard the horror stories, but we'll never fully understand just how nightmarish it truly was because we weren't there. Still, as I've said before, despair was never an option for Miss Harvey Fierstein. In 1987, he opened a new trilogy on Broadway called Safe Sex. The 3 plays are about people who struggle with intimacy, either because they've lost someone to the disease, are afraid to get the disease, or are surrounded by people who project the disease onto them. Healing arrives when they finally overcome their fear and embrace the other. It is a beautiful statement and a great piece of theater. Offstage, Harvey's advocacy was louder than ever, and he kept that torch burning in the years to come. On an episode of Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher, I know. Harvey sat across from Michael Reagan, son of the devil incarnate himself, and looked Reagan in the eyes and said, "F you and f your father." I have looked everywhere for this footage, but it looks like Disney has locked it away in the vault along with Song of the South and Goofy Tries Shibari. When Firestein says that he's been in the struggle for LGBTQIA+ rights for 50 years, he's not kidding. In his memoir, Firestein describes being 17 years old when the Stonewall riots happened in 1969.
Here was the community, standing purposefully in the light of day, demanding their place in the world. Hiding was over. Being second-class citizens was done. Intimidating us back into the closet was not going to work anymore. The revolution had been engaged, and even naive little me knew that retreat was unacceptable. The bandages covering our wounds of shame were discarded. We'd now heal in the light of day or bleed out.
Bars. I don't really have anything left to say in this section except for thank you, Harvey Fierstein. Unfortunately, this brings us to the beer of our Lord 2025, where the people who are like, why does the left have to make everything so political nowadays, manage to politicize everything that ever happens in life itself every day. From a global pandemic to people who wear wigs. And now, a performing arts center with entirely bipartisan origins. In the late 1950s, then President Dwight Eisenhower helped back a Democratic-led bill for a national culture center. John F. Kennedy launched fundraising for the center upon taking office, and Lyndon B. Johnson signed a bill to rename it in his honor following the assassination. And her full name is the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts. So during his first term as president, Trump never really cared about attending shows at the Kennedy Center, and pretty much never did. But upon retaking office, once his advisors told him that his involvement with the center could win him some more culture war points, that sparked the last 2 brain cells keeping him alive to take a more proactive approach to it. So, in his latest decision during his Legion run in Fallout New Vegas, he announced this on his own social media site, since his boyfriend is afraid of getting deported if he reinstates his Twitter page.
At my direction, we are going to make the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. great again. I've decided to immediately terminate multiple individuals from the Board of Trustees, including the chairman, who do not share our vision for a golden age in arts and culture. We will soon announce a new board with an amazing chairman, Donald J. Trump.
Because he still refers to himself in the third person, like Kanye West or Smeagol.
Just last year, the Kennedy Center featured drag shows, specifically targeting our youth. This will stop. The Kennedy Center is an American jewel and must reflect our brightest stars on its stage from all across our nation. For the Kennedy Center, the best is yet to come.
Sure, Jan.
There's also this leaked audio that sounds like he forgot to put his dentures in.
It got very wokey, and some people were not happy with it. I think we're going to make it hot. We made the presidency hot, so this should be easy. It's great to have all of you with us. We're going to add a few more to get up to the whatever the number is that we're supposed to be up to. I think you're going to enjoy yourselves, and you're going to have a lot of good nights also.
Following these brain-dead rambles, White House press secretary and one of the four horsemen of the 8/5/11 apocalypse, Caroline Leavitt, made this announcement.
As you know, he is now the chairman of the board of the Kennedy Center, where he hopes to restore arts and culture that embrace American tradition, don't disparage it, as we have unfortunately seen over the past several years. The president will be doing a tour of the center. In his business developer mind, I'm sure he will make some recommendations on how the center itself can be improved.
Sure, Jan.
While the Kennedy Center's original mission statement is still up on the website, there's a new project listed called Promise of Us, or US, I don't know. The public is invited to submit an artistic self-portrait to be part of a virtual wall of faces expressing the myriad diversity of America's people and the promise of America's future. This ever-expanding mosaic will be featured on the center's website and social channels. So who are these new faces of America's ever-expanding mosaic exactly? Too many to name without you guys getting bored. But some notable members include Pam Bondi, second runner-up in my Miss Cabinet USA competition, Usha Vance, second lady of the United States, Allison Lutnick, wife of one of the lowest scoring contestants in my Miss Cabinet USA competition, Laura Ingram, a woman who probably adopted all those kids so that she could get priority seating on airplanes, Susie Wiles, White House Chief of Staff and final boss at the breakfast buffet line, and worst of all, Lee Greenwood, writer and singer of a song that gives me flashbacks to my childhood during the Bush administration. But most importantly, Trump ousted Kennedy Center President Deborah F. Rutter and replaced her with this pick-me overlord and his new title of Special Presidential Envoy for Special Missions, a special job for a very special boy, yes you are. His name is Richard Grenell, and he served as the US ambassador to Germany during Trump's first term, and who Germany criticized for, quote, displaying a lack of professionalism. He was also briefly the director of national intelligence in 2020, and is the first openly gay cabinet-level official in US history. Though he still technically wasn't confirmed by the Senate, so that title actually still belongs to the biggest BuzzFeed gay in America. Oh, and he also helped secure the release of Andrew and Tristan Tate from Romania. In short, the perfect DEI hire for Trump to hide behind after banning drag and drag-related performances at the Kennedy Center. Since this new takeover, the Kennedy Center has confirmed over 20 cancellations or postponements for the next 6 months. Now, the majority of these were autonomous decisions by the artists themselves, like my girl Issa Rae, and plenty of board members like Ben Folds and Shonda Rhimes who resigned. Some cancellations were due to financial reasons. Hamilton's producers also pulled the production from the center themselves, to which Trump said he, quote, never liked Hamilton that much, but also like, dude, same? But it's impossible to ignore the amount of LGBTQ-themed performances that were canceled, including the Gay Men's Chorus of DC, A Peacock Among Pigeons, and Finn, and most importantly, a Pride celebration concert set for June. The Kennedy Center has stated that these decisions were made before the new takeover.
Sure, Jan.
But this is where our boy Harvey Fierstein comes in, finally. He posted this on social media, accompanied by a picture of him marching alongside the one and only Marsha P. Johnson at the 1979 Christopher Street Liberation Day Parade.
I have been banned from the Kennedy Center. A few folks have written to ask how I feel about Trump's takeover of the Kennedy Center. How do you think I feel? The shows I've written are now banned from being performed in our premier American theater. Those shows, most of which have been performed there in the past, including Kinky Booch, La Cage à Foile, Torch Song Trilogy, Hairspray, Safe Sex, Casa Valentina, Spook House, Arcaded Affair, The Sissy Duckling, Bella Bella, and more. I have been in the struggle for our civil rights for more than 50 years, only to watch them snatched away by a man who actually couldn't care less. He does this stuff only to placate the religious right, so they'll look the other way as he savages our political system for his own glorification. He attacks free speech. He attacks the free press. He attacks America's allies. His only allegiance is to himself, the golden calf. My fellow Americans, I warn you, this is not how it begins. This is how freedom ends. Trump may have declared woke as dead in America. We must prove him wrong. Wake the hell up!
As always, pop off, bitch. Anyway, Richard Grenell responded the following morning with this post on Twitter.
Hey Harvey Fierstein, this is a total lie. Whoever told you this, because you obviously didn't do your own research, should be fired from your team for purposefully making you look foolish. I too have been in the fight for equality for decades.
Sure, Jan.
I'm the president of the Kennedy Center and the first openly gay U.S. cabinet official. I was appointed by Donald Trump Jr. to both jobs. You aren't banned. In fact, come to Hairspray or Lacage here at the Kennedy Center. This is your personal invite. Let's meet. If, however, you can handle diverse opinions and want to be inclusive of everyone, that is.
So, with that classic little bitchy Republican closer of throwing someone's statements back at them, let's break this down a bit. Grenell went on to Hannity to discuss this further, and so I sacrificed just a few more brain cells in the name of research.
Thanks for having me. It has been a while, and it's great to be back here on Fox.
Okay, sorry, not to interrupt before we even start, but can we talk about how his eyes and eyebrows form a perfect Illuminati symbol? I can't be the only one seeing this, right?
We want common sense art.
Common sense art? It's giving Hays Code?
We want a Kennedy Center that is open to everyone, and what that means is that shows like Hamilton are going to have to allow Republicans to buy tickets.
I'm sorry, does he think the Hamilton producers won't allow Republicans to buy tickets? Like, I know Hamilton is one of the most overrated products of 2010's neoliberal cringe, but like, does he think you need like a liberal card to get in?
Lin-Manuel said, I don't want to have Republicans coming here. I don't want to be in a space where Republicans are coming to my shows.
No, he didn't.
I think that's intolerant. And that's one of the things that Donald Trump has really brought back into Washington, into America, into the Kennedy Center, is to say everyone is welcome. We're not going to cancel. We're not going to tell people that they're not welcome. Everyone is welcome.
So then he goes on to make the financial issues argument, as if all of these smash Broadway hits that all feature drag wouldn't rake in millions.
And so I said, let's do a big show celebrating the birth of Christ at Christmas.
Huh, finally, some untapped ground. Cool. That was wildly unhelpful and did not address the issue with Harvey at all. So going back to Grenell's initial tweet, if we're going to argue semantics here, which is what he is doing, yes, technically Harvey was never officially banned from the Kennedy Center. Nobody called him or sent him an email or letter or whatever to say, Sir Harvey Fierstein, you are hereby banished from the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. in the United States of America on behalf of Lord God Emperor Donald Jessica Trump. And if anyone so much hears a whisper of that iconic gravelly voice, our knights in homosexual-proof armor will arrive to escort you off the premises. Let this be a grave warning to you, Sir Firestein, that in the name of tolerance, decreed by High Elf Richard Grenell, your presence will not be tolerated. No, they didn't do that. I almost wish they did. What they're actually doing is far more insidious, which is why Harvey responded to Grenell's tweet with this.
Radical right Rick, Trump's homosexual lapdog, claims that he asked me to bring Lacage Offal to the Kennedy Center. As far as I know, this is not true. Although Trump and his army of culturally starved followers would benefit greatly from seeing that particular show. With Trump's ban on drag, no way Lacage could be produced there. So I'd have to say Rick is fibbing. Nothing new about radical right Rick lying for the orange clown. To get Trump to appear at a fundraiser, it is rumored that Rick paid him nearly $250,000. As we all know, Trump is available to do anything for money. As much as Trump disparages such behavior, I wonder how much he'd charge to wear makeup in public. Oops. He does that for free.
So, Richard, my good bitch, is there actually going to be a ban on drag shows because Daddy said so? Or is the Kennedy Center, for the first time ever on RuPaul's Drag Race, going to finally be inclusive of diverse opinions? Which is it, diva? Harvey is 10,000% correct when he says that Trump is just turning the Kennedy Center into another culture war battleground. But after doing some research and knowing the lucrative careers that both Trump and Firestein had, especially in the 1980s, I have a few theories as to why Trump really took over the Kennedy Center, and why he's apparently hell-bent on banning drag and drag-related performances. 1. Harvey said something shady to Trump back in the 80s or 90s, and Trump has held a grudge ever since. 2. Trump knows about that video of him hitting on Rudy Giuliani in drag. 3. Trump initially banned Harvey Weinstein and then realized he made a grave mistake towards his constituency. 4. Trump is a tired old queen who doesn't want to share the spotlight with a fabulous old queen like Harvey. And 5. Trump is finally living out his dreams of being a Broadway producer. Wait, what was that last part? When we looked at Trump's post about sharing a vision for a golden age in arts and culture, he wasn't just talking about wanting to paint the Kennedy Center entirely in gold the way that they paint everything chrome in the future. And I know you were probably wondering, what vision could Donald Trump possibly have for a golden age in arts and culture? What does that guy even like? Does he even appreciate the art of theater itself? Believe it or not, yes, he actually does. Like, a lot. As a young man, Donald Trump actually dreamed of becoming a theater producer. He has frequently expressed wanting to bring more Broadway shows to the Kennedy Center. After assuming his new position as chair, he asked the rest of the board which musical is better, Phantom of the Opera or Les Miserables. The answer is neither. And I swear to God, this is a true story. During his first term as president, he actually had a dedicated White House official who he called the Music Man, wonder if that's a reference, who would play him his favorite show tunes to calm him down. Donald Trump loves musicals so much that apparently he wants to turn the Kennedy Center into the ending of Cabaret. What are his favorite musicals, you ask? He's especially a longtime fan of Andrew Lloyd Webber. He was very dismayed when Phantom of the Opera closed on Broadway. He called it ridiculous. He's a big Michael Crawford and Betty Buckley fan, and has stated that he prefers the original Broadway cast recordings for soundtracks. There was one show he attended that he initially didn't like, but he had a change of heart.
I walked in, I saw all these bodies, and then I noticed those bodies were gorgeous. They had silk tights on, and they were all ballerinas and women from Broadway, and men.
This show would go on to be his favorite musical of all time. The most frequent song he would listen to calm down was from this musical. And this show was Cats. His idea for a golden age in arts and culture is f***ing Cats. Oh god. Oh no. Oh this is bad. This is very, very bad. We have to put a stop to this right now. Shut it down. Release the hounds. Drop the bombs. I don't care what it takes. We have to shut this the f down now. And it was after this incredible discovery that I realized something. And it's something I've touched on so many times in the past. This is yet another example of a bitter conservative figurehead not attaining the entertainment career they actually wanted, so they instead find a way to make it everyone else's problem. It's the same reason the Daily Wire started making their own movies with their island of alt-right grifter misfit toys. And I think it's why Trump took over the Kennedy Center. They can't attain talent, but they can attain enough wealth and power to influence all the clubs that they never quite made it into in the past. But it's official, my good bitches. We have proven knowledge that Donald Jessica Trump is, in fact, a huge musical theater. Here's the thing, though. I don't think Trump actually personally cares if drag shows are performed at the Kennedy Center or anywhere at all. He's literally a theater kid from New York City. I don't think he genuinely perceives gay and trans people as a threat, at least not the way that his voters do. His advisors tell him what to rile people up over, and he's just doing what he does best when he panders news to the voters who have been entirely caught up in the trans moral panic. Once again, it's just another distraction for the Fell For It Again award crowd to think their lives are improving, even though the cheaper eggs they supposedly voted for are now $15 a dozen. As Harvey put it, this is all just to placate the religious right so that they'll look the other way as he savages our political system. Richard Grenell isn't just a Trump loyalist, he's a f***ing liar. He has not been in the fight for equality for decades, unless that fight was for gay people to be Republican lapdogs because they thought it would save their skins. Just like every other gay conservative or gay transphobe, they think that if they prove to the right that they're not like other gays, or join the LGB without the T crowd, they'll somehow find acceptance amongst other Republicans. But here's what gay conservatives like Grenell and Scott Bessent and Peter Thiel and countless others do not understand. It doesn't matter if you're the most straight-passing, sexless, Dennis Prager-looking chunk of milquetoast carbon lifeform on the planet. It doesn't matter if you're the most ridiculous-looking lisping queen on Christopher Street in a midriff and combat boots. The people who vote against your basic civil rights inherently view you as subhuman. They do not see you as an equal human being deserving of them. That is why we have pride in the first place. It's a celebration of being unapologetically yourself in a world that largely still views you as a lesser human being. And for the few queer people who actually see the drag ban at the Kennedy Center as a positive thing, or the ones who think we don't need pride, do you really think they'll stop there? Do you really think it'll stop at just the Kennedy Center? This is just one more step in a larger effort for complete erasure. The National Park Service has completely scrubbed all references to trans people in its section about Stonewall, despite trans people being at the front of that fight, as we all know. There are currently 527 and counting anti-LGBTQ bills advancing across all 50 states. The CDC has been instructed to pause or retract any and all research that mentions words like gender and pregnant people. This is currently the list of words that are being banned from government websites. Just take a nice long look at it. And this is actually real. I extensively fact-checked this because I didn't want to think that it was. The free speech crowd isn't just censoring any and all words that relate to race, sexuality, gender, or even science itself. Whipping the masses into hysteria over pronouns and other basic fourth grade grammar has lent way to the banning of words like community and efforts and peanut allergies. Are you kidding me? The folks who love to ask me in comment sections, do you even know what a woman is, have literally banned the word woman from government websites. The TERFs have been awfully silent about that one, haven't they? This is no different from the Nazi book burnings. The entire point of the book burnings was to purge anything that was quote-unquote un-German, aka anything that contradicted their fascist worldview. The first book burning was at Magnus Hirschfeld's Institute for Sexual Wissenschaft, that's the Institute for Sexual Research for all you other dumb, uneducated Americans out there. At least, that's what some people here like to tell me I am. This was where some of the earliest sexual reassignment surgeries took place, and its libraries contained some of the most groundbreaking research for queer, trans, and intersex issues. In 1933, the institute was raided and its entire library was burned in the streets. Sound familiar? Here's some Karens standing in front of a white women-only bathroom sign in 1962. And here's Nancy Mace standing in front of a biological women-only bathroom sign in 2025. Except, she had to make the sign herself because she's a loser. And, someone who sure talks big game for not being conventionally feminine. All of my jokes aside, Trump's vision for a golden age in arts and culture isn't just the worst Andrew Lloyd Webber has to offer. This isn't actually about Trump's bad taste in musicals. This is about how calling drag anti-American propaganda is no different from those Nazi book burnings of anything considered un-German. As I said in my last video, fascism seeks seeks to eliminate anything that challenges the status quo. Basically, the limited, hateful worldview that keeps these people miserable, and that libs of TikTok girl looking like a Dust Bowl farmer despite being a year younger than me. And unfortunately, this is only the beginning. When Harvey says this is how freedom ends, he is correct. Fascism doesn't begin with concentration camps, even though we are quite literally already there, Christy Gnome. It starts small and gradually erases and dehumanizes anything that challenges the status quo. Just the other day, this freak posted a crossed out inverted pink triangle, the now reclaimed symbol of what queer people were forced to wear just a few short years after those book burnings. So, does Richard Grenell really think that Harvey Fierstein, who has actually been in the fight for queer and trans rights for 50 years, somebody whose entire body of work is defined by drag and radical queerness, will be placated by that response and will believe you when you tell him that you did the same thing? You really think he's never seen this kind of thing before? Really, bitch, how stupid do you think he is? How stupid do you think we are? And how stupid are you? When Harvey says that he has been banned from the Kennedy Center, unless Grenell is being genuinely obtuse, he knows damn well what that meant. And Harvey's words obviously speak to a much larger point. I really don't want to end this on too much of a bummer note, because if there's one thing that's been keeping me going, it's knowing that throughout history, these systems always fail. It's just a matter of how and when. I think it's more important than ever to look to our queer and trans elders, like Harvey Fierstein, for wisdom during these times. These people are quite literally survivors. There was a saying during the AIDS crisis that went, bury your friends in the morning, protest in the afternoon, and dance all night. And it was that joy as an act of rebellion that kept them going through one of the darkest periods of queer and trans history. Again, despair wasn't an option for Harvey Fierstein, and it can't be for us either. In a world of Richard Grenell's, be a Harvey Fierstein. Is that any better? Is that less of a bummer? I don't know. Anyway, here are some winning comments from the last video. Card Dietrich says, MAGA, OMG, drag queens want to groom my kids. Drag queens, lols, Lenin's suits were mid, but his cat was pretty chill. Uncle Gumbald 989 says, Schmadolf, your little Dutch boy was not fingering the prize, and your little boy Blue left us little boys blue. I'm sorry, my dear, but you're up for elimination. Itri Vega says, I keep saying that I didn't simp for Final Fantasy villains for nearly 3 decades just for the villains in real life to wear cringy red hats and boring suits while looking like sleazy dads that harass their babysitters. Thank you. You too could be featured in the next video. Leave a comment below. I will pick my favorite ones and give you a shout out next time. But if you'd like to guarantee that your name be featured at the end of every video, please consider joining my Patreon. If you join any of the membership tiers that are conveniently named after Fallout protagonists, your name will be featured at the end of every video. You might also get other cool stuff like access to my Discord, behind the scene content on how I make my wigs, ad-free and uncensored versions of my videos. So if you love my videos and my drag, you can support this channel directly by clicking the link to my Patreon in the description box. If you would like to see me simp for my favorite game characters and get visibly frustrated in real time, please follow me on Twitch. And if you would like to see even more of my clown mug elsewhere, I don't really use TikTok anymore, but please consider following me on Instagram or Threads or Blue Sky. My handle for all of the above is @QueenCokeFrancis. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't done so already, please produce and star in a Broadway show. Make it a true opening night to remember by going ahead and unzipping your pants and dick slapping those like and subscribe and notification buttons as well. I'm so close to 100,000 subs, I can almost taste it. Thank you again to Pinace for partnering with me on this video, and thank you again to all my patrons and subscribers who have helped my channel grow and thrive the way that it has been. And of course, as always, until next time, go